Can't start a fire, can't start a fire without a spark. Will Lankshear was on fire and he turned the game around against Lincoln at the Riverside yesterday. And I'm here with a full house. Boro fan, Dana Mall, Matt, and the only man who I know who can rest two pens on his nose, Tom Green, to discuss it. But before we get into that, you caught me off guard that time, didn't it? Before we get into that, Dee, I'm going to pass the mic over to you.
Yeah, this is going to be a bit of a tone down of the mood temporarily, though. Yeah, you'll have seen that we put a statement out on our social channels the other day, just condemning the really quite vile, misogynistic, sexist, and quite frankly sexually inappropriate comments that I've received. And honestly, the reaction to that from Boro fans and just the wider football family has been genuinely incredible. And I was going to say unbelievable, but it's entirely believable that Boro fans would lift up and rally around a fellow Boro fan. And I just want to say a massive, massive thank you to everybody that has reached out, sent their well wishes to me and whatnot. It really has blown every sexist bit of guff out of the water. It's completely dwarfed it. And yeah, I just want to say a massive thank you and also take this opportunity to say that, we have zero tolerance for abuse across the board. We've had to delete quite a lot of comments over the last God knows how long. And we also had to disable our comments on a YouTube video one time because it just got too much, people being quite rude and inappropriate. So I just implore people to think twice before they post something because we aren't AI robots devoid of depth and feeling. We are human beings that sometimes your words can hurt. So yeah, just want to put that out there, but also end on just a massive, massive thank you. It is, the support has overwhelmed me in the best possible way. I've read it all from, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, the forums. It's been really, really quite, it got me quite emotional the other day. So yeah, just a massive thank you and Jonny, back to the snooker.
Back to the snooker, indeed, and thank you very much for that, Dee. And yeah, speaking of snooker, Adam Reach put Lincoln ahead, and Boro turned it around with Will Lankshear. Tom, since you can rest two pens on your nose, firstly, let's see that now, and secondly, give me your assessment of the game yesterday.
All my pens are still in a box somewhere in this room, so yeah, we won't be seeing that now. But yeah, I think the game yesterday went pretty much as I expected it to go. And, people might kind of rewind to last week's episode and be like, didn't you say 3-0? I did. And then the amount of content I've kind of taken in over the last week, Jonny speaking to Lincoln supporters, I've listened to, I think it was another Lincoln podcast during the week, and just kind of learning more about them as a team. I'm like, actually, yeah, we probably going to be in for a game here. And then, yeah, obviously they go 1-0 up. Who else would it be other than the one Boro player that plays for them? Loved the worldie at the Riverside, and that was really, really good finish from Adam Reach yesterday as well. It was a difficult watch at times in the first half, I thought, just because we were making a lot of daft mistakes, I think, trying to play, well, not necessarily the mistake wasn't trying to play it out from the back, but we were making the wrong decisions while we were trying to do that. And it just felt like we were pinned in at times. And as soon as we got to half time and it was 1-0, I was like, I do trust Hellberg to turn this around at half time. We've seen it many times before. I think it's almost like a bit of a boxing match where the boxer might be hanging on, get to the corner at the end of the round and kind of reset the strategy. And yeah, we came out and looked a lot more like the Boro we knew and loved last season. So yeah, and then for the two goals to come from Lankshear in a game that maybe last season wouldn't have ended the same way. Just yeah, perfect way to start the season and roll on Blackburn next week.
What did we think of Abdoulaye Kante's performance? Because obviously he started the match to many people's surprise. But I mean, I put a bit of content out on TikTok just saying that he struggled in large parts. And I'll probably get to my revised thoughts in a second. But it caused a bit of division in the comments. People saying that he played well, other people saying that, he didn't. So yeah, kind of putting it out there to you guys. What did you think of Abdoulaye Kante's surprise inclusion in his performance?
I would say I wasn't surprised in the inclusion, just mainly just due to the injuries. And then secondly, on his performance, I think Abdoulaye Kante is a crab, not like literally a crab, but like he is someone who you would put in front of the defense, and he would just go from side to side, interceptions, and play it to the closest person to them. And I just think that's his game. I don't think he's someone who is incredibly strong in possession, but I think he is best suited to out of possession football, teams that will play direct football on the ground and not up in the air where it'll hurt your neck. And for me, it felt like it felt like a game yesterday that he did struggle a little bit. But let's remember that he's only really played 3 or 4 games in the Championship. He was out on loan at Saint Etienne again last year. He's coming back into a new manager, a new system, new way of playing. And not saying we asked loads of him yesterday, but I just don't think I don't think the first 30 minutes really suited him. But after that, the second 30, and then before he got subbed, I actually thought he really grew into the game just because he was sitting a little bit deeper and he was just sitting in front of the back two. And he helped Middlesbrough get better ball retention in the second half. So, yeah, I totally subscribe to both narratives. People can say he was really poor. People can say he was great, because the game, if you watched it the first 30 minutes, yeah, you probably would say he was really poor. And then the second half, where we tweaked it slightly, yeah, he massively improved as the game went on. So do I see him there for the rest of the season? No, probably not. But I actually think he's a profile that can benefit any team, really. You don't really see that profile as much now with that type of crab profile, who's someone who's just really good at interceptions and breaking teams down with via interceptions. So, yeah, I'm on the fence, but I would say you could say both opinions are correct.
Yeah, I think he had a mixed game. When I watched it back, I mean, initial thoughts were I thought he was quite poor, but then I watched it back and he was all right. Like, he had a mixed game, some good moments, some tidy moments in possession, but what you said about him being young, and basically he's learning as he goes, as he plays, because he wasn't really fancied under Kim Helberg last season, which is why the loan deal to Saint Etienne was sanctioned. And I think everybody thought that he would go there permanently, but they didn't get promoted, did they? So it didn't trigger the permanent deal. So it's an opportunity for him, and it's all just new. Like, he's not a new player, but he's new in Helberg's team. Same with Sebastian Berhalter. That midfield duo, I don't think we'll see again, but that's new. That the dynamic of that, if we do see it again, will have to be worked on. Same with like Joseph in the front line, Lankshear in the front line. Borges playing left back, never played under Kim Helberg before this season. So there's newness in this Middlesbrough team, and I think this Middlesbrough team will probably become, their most fruitful moments will come through relationships on the pitch. And you've spoken about it, Jonny, that the relationships. What's it called? Relationism. Is that
Relationism, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So I think that will be quite important with this Middlesbrough side, but when you've got certain parts of it that are new, that'll obviously take time. Which is why I'm interested in Morris and Berhalter, because obviously they're best friends off the pitch, and then on the pitch, they've played together before, maybe not recently, but they've played together before, so I think maybe that will be accelerated in that development.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Relationships are massive in football, and especially the way Kim wants to play, and that's in the system that he wants to implement. You have to really understand each other's games to really maximise what we want to do. Because we are a really fluid team in and out of possession, you do tend to see people drop into centre half in terms of build up. You sometimes see someone playing right wing, but it all rotates as the games go on. But let's chat about Will Lankshear, Matt, because 3 goals in 2 games. Is he showing the difference already?
Yeah, I mean, it's a small sample size, obviously, but I think it's clear what we were missing last season, and already we're starting to see the difference. I know we're going to sort of discuss the narrative a little bit later around would that game have been different last season with or without the likes of Will Lankshear, but yeah, he was again excellent yesterday. It's been said quite a lot in pre-season by neutrals that he's going to get a lot of chances in this Boro team and probably going to score 100 goals. And I can absolutely see why, because again, yesterday, he was constantly in the right place at the right time. He was getting chance after chance after chance, but he also finished 2 of them as well. He had one in behind, I think Callum Britton played him in behind. It might have been the first half. And he had an early shot that was well saved. I mean, I was right behind it. That was heading straight into the top bin. So that would have been a good finish. He had a header in the first half as well, which was saved. I don't know if it was offside. I think I don't know who put the cross in. But again, we're just seeing a wide variety. Was it Kante? We're just seeing him get
crosses in, actually, Kante.
Yeah, he did. We're seeing a Lankshear get just on the end of a wide variety of different opportunities. And like pre-season, he's always in the right place. His reading of where to be is just fantastic. And his movement is excellent as well. He had one off the bar, when a corner was brought in, and he sort of hooked it onto the crossbar. Yeah, he's just... I can't speak highly of him enough already. I'm trying not to get too carried away. I'm trying not to get too overly excited, but he is just a proper centre forward who can do a little bit of everything. And yeah, his finish for the winner as well. His movement was just so intelligent. He's brilliant. He really is brilliant, and I'm extremely excited to see what he will do this season. He's, as I say, 3 goals in 2 already. If he can stay fit, then yeah, it's going to be a very, very fun season watching Will Lankshear. And if he can be the difference and he can help us get on the right side of the fine margins that we were very much on the wrong side of last season, especially at home, then you'd like to think over the course of a season that will make a huge difference to our points tally and maybe be the difference between us being a successful team and an unsuccessful team. And that's, I guess, what a £185 million centre forward does for you.
Yeah. Well, when you spend, 750 million on a striker, Matt, it's you're hoping that he does score goals, But Denny, you spoke last year around moments, and you felt like you never had one. You never had the moment to celebrate. But fast forward a year, first game of the season, it finally happens. 1, did you feel vindicated? And 2, how were you feeling when Will Lankshear scored?
I did feel vindicated, and I was just buzzing, to be honest, because, I've been waiting for that. And you know what? I thought in the build-up to it, I just had a feeling we were going to score. And you know why? It's because I saw at some point in the season, when Sky Sports have those infographics in the bottom corner, and it says, like, goals scored after, like, 85 plus minutes or something like that. I pictured us being somewhat close to the top, and then all of a sudden we scored towards the end, so basically manifested that. Never mind Riley McGree's assist, that was me that. No, I'm just kidding. It was brilliant work from Riley. Frank Lampard moment there for myself. But yeah, it was it was a really good finish. And I just want to talk about the goal just now because I really liked it. The movement from Lankshear was good, but I actually want to credit Morgan Whittaker in the build-up to this goal as well, because Whittaker pulls a player out of position. I think it's Riley Towler, and Riley McGree takes up that position where Riley Towler would have been. And so it's really good just manipulating the ball. When Callum Britton gets the ball on the right-hand side, Whittaker moves in, and then so does Riley McGree. It creates a situation where Riley McGree is so intelligent, and I think he's got a really good understanding of game state and how attacks are effectively being built up. So Riley McGree was playing in the role that Castledine was playing, which was that sort of left inside channel. But he moves to the right because he realises that there's an opportunity here to basically just do his thing. And then Whittaker, again, this is like a double movement from Whittaker, because he obviously moves towards the wide area, but then he moves inside again, and it pulls I think it's Towler again out of position, and it opens up further space for Riley McGree to just become, I was going to say become wide, don't take that literally, but to move wide as well. And then McGree, honestly, his work is so good. That is a prime example of what Riley McGree can do. He's very good in tight spaces. He's got brilliant ball control. The outside of the foot cross for Will Lankshear is brilliant. But Lankshear, when McGree gets the ball, is far post. He's towards the left of the goal. He realises as soon as Riley McGree gets into a position where there's opportunity, he's proactive. He's not reactive, he's proactive. He gets in front of his marker and he makes that near post run, which I think if a striker's going to the near post and they're finishing in that area, they've just got that knack. they sort of sense the opportunity, because that near post area is quite vulnerable for a goalkeeper. You hear a lot of people say, "Oh, you shouldn't get beaten at his near post," which is quite lazy analysis for me, because it is such a vulnerable area, especially when it's rifled in. Obviously, this wasn't, but it's a first-time finish from Will Lankshear. The goalkeeper cannot and just will not react to it, and it's just brilliant. The move, Whittaker's movement, McGree's movement, Lankshear's movement, the creativity from McGree himself to actually get himself into a position on the byline to put that ball into the box. It's just a really good goal. And I was kind of thinking, with that relationism, there's parts of that in there, but also just individual quality. And you saw that with McGree, and you saw that with Will Lankshear as well. And I will say the atmosphere after that was insane. Like, the Riverside was rocking at points yesterday. Like, when Ashley Phillips was announced to the crowd, he must have thought, bloody hell, I'm not used to this. He's been at Blackburn and Stoke. And Lankshear himself said it's the best atmosphere he's been in. And I was thinking, yeah, I mean, you've played for Oxford and West Brom, so probably it's a pretty low bar. Even though Oxford have decent support, but West Brom probably don't. But yeah, it was bouncing, and yeah, really good to see that. Hopefully it's not the last goal scored late that we see this season, and there's not a massive runway waiting for the next one. Hopefully it's one of many.
Yeah, and I'm just going to add one more point to your analysis, Dee, and it's just a good striker is always at the back post. And the reason why I say it is just that run, it allows you to get the blind side of a defender, and you're able to get your shot away. And
Stuani did it a lot.
Yeah.
Stuani did it a lot. Like, Karanka got stick for putting Stuani on a right wing, but Stuani ghosted from the back post to the front post quite often, and he got a few goals from that sort of scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I was banging on about Conway being on the right last year. It's just, it simplifies a striker's game when you are in that moment. But I think for Lankshear, yeah, if you're always hanging on that post, it gives the anticipation. So if the ball does come across, you're already in position. Secondly, it allows you to pull out as well, create a little bit of space, and just put it in the back of the net. And I mean, what a striker. I mean, he's a proper number 9. And everything about his game brings people into play. He also takes defenders out. Yeah, I think we've got a really, really good centre forward in Will Lankshear. I'm really, really impressed. And it wasn't easy for Boro yesterday, because looking at Lincoln in that first half, they were absolutely excellent. And how would you guys rate them now that you've seen them live in the flesh?
I said earlier on, I kind of revised my own prediction during the week, thinking it's going to be a lot closer game, having learned about them. And now I'm also thinking of revising my bottom 3 from last week, and thinking they might actually be closer to the Luton of this year, where they came up and they weren't necessarily fancied, but they are actually a really good team. They're clearly kind of well drilled. They've got a way of playing, and I think they're going to be well suited to the Championship. I thought they came out in the first half yesterday and did everything they needed to do. I think, coupled with the fact that we were making really daft mistakes at the back and essentially just giving them the ball back quite a lot of the time. They had 5 or 6 corners in the first half, just from pinning us in essentially, and obviously it was a great finish from Adam Reach as well. I always had confidence that we'd come out and do something different in the second half and play more like we know, but yeah, I think to put yourself in that position in the first half, especially when I don't think Boro were playing well at all, you still need to be a good team to be able to capitalise on that, and they were.
I thought they were excellent. I really did. It was a mix of us being incredibly poor at the same time, but I think they played a big part in that because they were so aggressive. They pressed us so hard. They just didn't give us a moment to settle and really get into our rhythm at all. And they ensured and enforced that the game became the exact sort of game that suited their strengths. And it was all about them winning the duels, winning the second balls. I mean, their goal came from, although I didn't expect their goal to be an absolute screamer, I thought it'd probably come from a long throw and a flick on and a header at the back post or something. But that in itself came from a long ball from their goalkeeper. They win the flick on. The ball then gets played out wide, and then from one wing back to another, they score. But I thought they were fantastic at ensuring that the game was exactly what they wanted it to be. Boro played into their hands, but they just, were absolutely bombarding our box with throw-ins, set plays. I mean, we were chatting about it when with Jonny during the game. It's been very successful across a lot of the divisions, hasn't it, over the last season or so? Like big teams being very physical, being good at set plays, and it's not pretty. It's a throwback. I think even Tony Pulis would take a step back and go, "Bloody hell, that's a bit much, lads." But I honestly think if they can play like that at the Riverside on the opening day, and if they can do that at Sincil Bank, where I think teams will go there and struggle, I think they'll give themselves a real fighting chance. And I watched them yesterday, and I thought, it's not pretty. It's not pretty, but it's very effective, and I can absolutely see why they were 29 games unbeaten and hadn't lost a game in 9 months because of how they were playing. And our quality in the end won us the game. But I think if they do that on multiple occasions this season, I think they have a good chance. So fair play to Linton, credit to them, credit to their fans as well. They came up with big numbers, were really loud, and thankfully for us, unlike last season for a change, our quality got us over the line because they made it very, very difficult for us in the first half.
Yeah, and look, I'd agree with all your sentiments, to be fair. I think with Lincoln yesterday, they did make it really difficult, and especially in that first 15 minutes. And we spoke about it a lot in the opposition shows this week with Lincoln supporters, that they're going to start fast, they're going to make sure that they try and get themselves ahead, and then they will try and defend it as the game progresses. And it's definitely exactly how it played out. And I want to look at the first 30 minutes or so, and I just want to start with a goal kick, really, because I think this will open up how they played in the first 30 minutes before Boro started to change it. And when Boro did build out, they played to Ayling and then moved it into Britain, they would then press really high, force Boro to go to Whittaker, and then Whittaker was isolated. But when Whittaker wanted to play the ball back, he wanted to aim for Berhalter, and then Berhalter plays it around to Lankshear. And that's how Boro got out a couple of times in the early phases. But the problem was, during the game, when Boro did get out, Lincoln were really, really strong at winning the ball back. So why were they really strong at winning the ball back? Well, I think that they outnumbered Boro in the midfield. Boro were playing a 4-2-4 in possession. So one, they've got the extra body in there, but two as well, they're able to push really, really high. So they were forcing Boro along at times. And when Boro were going along, they would win the first header. They would then win the second ball. They would then win any other duel on top of that. And the first thing that they want to do is hit the ball long into the channels. And as a fan, you're thinking, oh God, I feel a bit uncomfortable here. Like, why are they moving the ball so quickly? Why are they winning the second header? And you'll be sat in your seat going, oh God, Boro getting battered here. But really, all they're doing is heading the ball down and knocking it long, aiming for a set piece. So Boro are getting overrun in midfield. They can't build up. The gap between the defence, the midfield, and the forward line is too big. So they're really able to not win when they've won the ball. They've got players already available to win it and then move it forward. But after 30 minutes, Boro do change it, and they put Kyle Joseph on the left, Leo Cassadine moves centrally, and then Boro now have like a 3v3 in that midfield, and that does start helping Boro get a foothold in the second half. And then after that second half begins, Boro start moving into a much better position. There's an old formation from years and years ago called the WW, and I've seen Middlesbrough implement this from the Wrexham game into now. It's also known as you can even say it's a 2-3-2-3, which you also hear quite regularly now with mainly like Pep teams or Maresca. They tend to play quite a lot. But what the beauty of this is that when Boro were in build-up, they were forcing their midfielders to make a decision. Do I either go out wide and try and press Britton or Arfston? But by doing so, they gave the space for Riley McGree to implement, to be really effective in the game. And what Riley McGree is really good at is finding space between the lines and creating overloads in central areas. So Boro were able to break them down as the game progressed because they had more bodies in the midfield. And on top of that as well, they're able to find more space. And just to show in terms of dominance of the game, of how that midfield, the extra midfielder really does play a part. In the first 45 minutes, Middlesbrough didn't create many chances. But in the second half, when they were able to tweak things and make Lincoln have more decisions as the game went on, they absolutely dominated. And not only did they start winning more duels, they were also like really effective in possession as well. So overall, I think it was a really good tweak from Hellberg to add more an additional midfielder in the game. 2, to bring Kante a little bit deeper, and then 3, the subs as well itself. Samiento was really positive. McGree was great. Harris was great as well because ball retention was a lot better. So there was multiple things at play, but I would say if you wanted to simplify it to one thing, just adding more bodies into that midfield, making sure they don't win the midfield battle, and then Boro became more dominant as the game went on.
Yeah, one thing that I noticed from the second half is the positioning of players on the right-hand side. We saw it a little bit in the first half, but I think it was much more noticeable in the second, where you had Berhalter kind of hovering in that right-back area, and then you had Callum Britton high up the pitch, like really quite far forward, and then Whittaker was kind of tucking into the half space, and I think that gets Callum Britton in a position that he is better in, whereas I think in the first half he was a little bit deeper at times. And then Whittaker actually, I think, and it goes against the grain because I know Whittaker's, the boo boy and whatever, but I really enjoyed a lot of Whittaker's game in the second half when he was in that area, because much like what you saw with the second goal, he was able to just manipulate the shape of Lincoln City and pull players out of position, because it's a bit like you said, don't know whether to go to, you were saying about the fullbacks, but don't know whether to go to Whittaker or Britton. Like, it causes a bit of indecision there. So I liked Whittaker's second half display in large part. And I liked that tweak. And Hellberg said post-match he got the structure wrong in the first half, and that was on him. I don't know whether that was a case of him protecting the players a bit, or whether he actually believed he got the wrong structure. But it was better in the second half, 100%.
Yeah, and look, we spoke a lot earlier before we even start doing the pre-season predictions that Boro probably might become a bit more direct this year, because you do have Will Lankshear up top who can hold the ball up, but when you have 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" defenders, and then a really physical team, I don't think you're going to beat Lincoln at that game. You have to become a lot more clever and wise to what they wanted to do. So yeah, I think that Middlesbrough probably will still be a bit more direct at times, and will still have different parts of the game. But yeah, you can't be out physical Lincoln. But there is a narrative. There is a narrative appearing, and it is, well, will Middlesbrough have won that game last year? Will they have not won that game? How are you guys feeling about that at the minute?
I think there's definitely a case to say that we wouldn't have won it last year. I think you look at the goals that we scored. The first one, if we're using Strelic as the example of who was playing up front, would he have been in the position to react where Lankshear was? I think there might be a case to say he could have been. We've seen some decent kind of reactionary shots from crossing positions from Strelic, but then the second goal, would we have seen that movement of the front post from him? And would it have been picked up? I don't think so. So I think it's a lot of that was down to Lankshear being that kind of proper number 9 up front who's going to make those runs and has that sort of intelligence about him. And in a way, I'd kind of liken that to when we had Bamford. I thought he was a really intelligent striker, and I can see similar traits in Lankshear. So looking forward to seeing how he gets on for the rest of the season. But I think there's probably a case that we might have drawn that game. There might even be a case that we would have won that game last season. I just think it would have been a lot harder work for us to be able to put ourselves in that position. But interested to hear what everyone else thinks on that one.
Yeah, I don't think we would have scored that second goal. I really don't. Like you said, Tom, I don't think anybody would have made that run. Would somebody have set that up? I mean, that move from Randy McGree specifically, probably not. Maybe even Randy McGree himself wouldn't have set that up, because it was a really, really high quality piece of play from him, like really high quality. But we definitely wouldn't have scored that second goal. So I don't know about the game as a whole, but I know he wouldn't have scored that second. And yeah, massive shout out to Riley McGree for that. Hellberg embraced him quite prominently after the match, and so he should, because that was the innovative piece of creativity, the sparkle on the football pitch that is worthy of winning a game. And obviously, shout out to Will Lankshear as well, who was brilliant in his movement, and he was chuffed with that. I mean, I don't know if you have heard his post-match interview with BBC Tees, but really, really good. Really top mentality, really driven, confident young man. And yeah, dare I say, he's got a bright future in the game.
He absolutely does. And speaking of bright futures in the game, it's now time for the praise and place. Ah, yes, the praise and place, the only place I like to give praise to a player, coach and staff member, Matt's new haircut, and much, much more. Definitely not fish. So, praise and place, guys. Who gets your place this week? Tom, I've just insulted you, so you go first.
Yeah, I mean, you leave my fish alone. They've done nothing to you. They're just swimming in the background there. Yeah, I think the obvious one's Lankshear. He's had such a good start to his Boro career. 3 goals in 2 games. Yeah, looks like a player that we've been missing, and the fact that we've managed to get him on a permanent is a great bit of business. So yeah, I'd go with him. Trying to think who else really kind of deserves it. I thought Kyle Joseph did well yesterday. I thought he did against Wrexham as well, but he didn't kind of really get mentioned too much last week. But I can see why he draws comparisons to Conway, and in terms of like the effort he puts in, I did think he played really well yesterday. Then not so much a praise and place at the moment, although maybe he can kind of reach a phase where he's in it later in the season. But I think Sarmiento looked a lot more comfortable yesterday when he came off the bench, and is starting to kind of show a little bit more of what he's all about. Obviously, he joined last season, kind of there's a bit of a parallel to the previous season when we were signing the likes of like Iheanacho, Ilan Jr. and people like that who were coming from losing teams. Didn't really have much confidence. He was coming from a team where he barely played in the first half of the season, and then expected to pick things up straight away in the Championship, which in hindsight really unrealistic for him to do. He's had a full pre-season now. I just thought everything he did looked really easy when he came on. Like, he was cutting inside onto his right foot quite a lot, but he never even looked close to being tackled in those scenarios. And I'm looking forward to seeing how he gets on for the rest of the season. Like I say, it's not so much a praise and place for yesterday, but I think there's stuff there to be positive about with Sarmiento. And I look forward to seeing if he can achieve a decent level performance this season.
Matt, I'll come to you next. Who's in your praise and place?
Yeah, you're almost as obsessed with my hair as half of YouTube, it seems, Jonny. I was a big fan of a lot of the players we brought off the bench yesterday. I know we can talk to death about Will Lankshear, and I'd love to spend an hour talking about how much I've loved him so far. But I really liked a lot of what we saw off the bench. I thought Max Arvston had a good cameo yesterday as well. I think you can just see the benefits of having a player who is so comfortable with both feet. I mean, he was so tidy with the ball yesterday, just dropping the shoulder, slipping by the defenders. He was overlapping, he was underlapping. I really liked what I saw from him. And I think it's safe to say that the team that we saw second half is probably more likely to be the team going forward. So maybe the depth of the squad looked better yesterday because we probably had more starters coming off the bench than we would normally if the team was to be swapped around. But Arvston looked really good. We've spoke about Riley McGree. I mean, it's just keeping him fit, isn't it? That's the only thing. But if we can keep him fit, we know his quality, and his assist for that goal was unbelievably good. And I also want to say Miles Peart-Harris. I don't want to say surprised me because I wasn't too sure what to expect. I think because of all of Boro's business, maybe his signing's gone under the radar a little bit because he was quite an early piece of business. He was on a free. He came from Oxford, and I know we were chatting about it yesterday, Jonny. He probably gets judged on his Oxford spell quite a lot, but he was playing in a completely different side who didn't have the ball. A bit like Lankshear, you can't really judge him off of that, of what he did in that team, because he's going to have a lot more of the ball with Boro. And I think he looked really good off the bench yesterday. I thought he was really tidy, carried the ball well. I like his build. I think he's quite a big physical player as well. And I'm really quite excited to see what he can do. I think picking him up on a free could be a really good bit of business. I was really impressed with him. I agree with Tom as well on Sarmiento. I thought he had a promising cameo yesterday. And I think it was also just really good to see Alfie Jones come off the bench as well, because I was getting a little bit worried that he was falling into the Darrell Lenihan, Tommy Smith vortex, where we would just never see him again. And maybe that might be the case. I don't know. We'll see how he gets on as he gets more and more minutes. But to see Alfie Jones come off the bench yesterday was really promising as well. So, yeah, I think it's gave Hellberg a couple of headaches with some of them cameos yesterday. And I think it'll be interesting to see what the 11 is going forward, especially next week at Blackburn, because a lot of them bench players, I think, did really well yesterday when they came on.
Yeah, and to you, D?
Yeah, hard agree on Miles Peart-Harris. I think he controlled that game from the moment he took his first touch. He looked really confident and really good in that team. And there might be something to be said for Lincoln tiring, and maybe it just kind of lent itself to him performing better because of that. But I don't want to kind of go down that path of narrative. I kind of just want to praise Miles Peart-Harris, because in truth, when he signed, he was our first signing, wasn't he? Well, technically second if you count Jeremy Sarmiento. And I thought he would play along the front line, because that's basically where he played for Oxford. But seeing him in that number 8 position, Hellberg, I get it completely. I can see exactly why he's wanted to view Miles Peart-Harris as a number 8, and I'm quite excited to see him moving forward, if that's going to be, the type of performance that he can give us, because I just thought he had this like swagger about his performance where it was like he knew he belonged in that side. And I know that's really like maybe a shit way of saying it, because it's an intangible basically, but like I just really enjoyed his performance, really did. I thought he was tidy in possession. There was a moment on the edge of the box where he used his body really well just to shield the ball, and he turned and then he released the ball, and I literally very, very loudly clapped that, and no one around me did, so I felt like a freak. But I was like, that was such a good piece of play, like really good, like just using your body to good effect, retaining possession, and then being progressive with it. Like, it was a really good piece of play. So I want to put him in the praise and place. And also Cal Joseph as well, actually liked his endeavour. He nearly created an opportunity. I don't know how. It just trickled across the goal mouth, and no one got onto it. I was thinking, oh God, has this last season come to life in this season? But also he nearly scored. He drew a really good save from Wickens in a Lincoln goal. It was the perfect shot. Power, height, like he got a bit behind that. And yeah, it was unlucky. You can tell my vocabulary died on me there. But I enjoyed his performance, and hopefully I can see more of that this season.
Yeah, Miles Peart-Harris is in mine too. When he signed, you're absolutely right, D. Like when he was at Oxford, played more out wide, would hold the ball up, would help them get up possession, and yeah, it's a different profile from a team that isn't really known for playing possession-based football. However, if you look at Peart-Harris's career, his time at Swansea, he's excellent. Like, he's really, really good. I was fortunate to have a look at him in Y-Scout when we signed him, and I know we didn't create the lowdowns this year, but I remember saying to you guys, like, he's someone who can play on that half turn and thread the ball through, and he can be a really good ball carrier for us. And he's also someone as well that can be really athletic and run at teams out of possession too. So for the recruitment team to identify him, for Hellberg to slightly tweak his position, because he has played as an 8, I think it's really, really good bit of business from Boro, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that he'll continue to improve in the position that he's in. And then, yeah, I agree with you guys. Sarmiento, really positive again, and I'm excited to see what he does. Do I think he's going to be a starter? Probably not. I think with Kyle Joseph and you've got Tommy Conway to come back, I think it's going to be quite difficult for him to get minutes at times, but he's putting himself in a position where he can be seen as the solution to some problems. And on top of that as well, Max Arston was positive when he came on too. And then finally, I'm going to put an opposition player in there as well. I don't think we've ever done this before, but we are now. Freddie Draper for me, for Lincoln. I thought he was marvellous yesterday. I really did. It just an absolute terrier. Ran everything down. I think Melander's probably went, bloody hell, I've had a game today. He won every duel, ran the channels, went, held the ball up well. I think he's a really, really good centre forward. And I know, like, I don't think you'd ever be well suited to probably a Boro team, but a team who doesn't like the ball as much, I think he's such a good addition. If you can get him, you 100% buy him. Really, really fun player. And I was just really impressed with his performance yesterday.
Yeah, I agree with that firstly, and can I just give a shout out to the moth that was hanging on Kim Hellberg's jumper when he did his post-match fist pumps and whatnot. I don't know if anyone noticed it, but it was just a moth taking a ride on Kim Hellberg's jacket. So yeah, maybe that could be the new Boro hamster. You remember when we had that lucky hamster? It was like a secret Santa gift. Maybe the moth's our new mascot. It was a bit like the grasshopper that was on James Rodriguez's arm in the 2014 World Cup. But yeah, it's just random shout out to that moth. Big up the moth.
That is so niche. I have so many questions.
You noticed it.
Yeah, I have so many questions. But speaking of questions, it's now time for podcast questions. Yes, podcast questions. Every week you get the chance to ask us a question. You can email us at theborobreakdown@hotmail.com. You can tweet us at Boro_breakdown. You can follow us on Instagram and send us a DM there. And if you wanted to find a crazy solution with a drone, I don't know, drop it in Norton somewhere.
Or a moth.
A moth or Boro hamster, we'll somehow find a way to answer it. Right, so first question, it's from Ben, and he asks, do we think we have enough after a centre mid and a right winger, or would we be daft enough to explore the loan market in the closing weeks of the window? Boro fan Denimol, I'll come to you first. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think we have enough after that. I think we need probably better depth at full-back. I don't know why we keep just riding on with the hope that Callum Britton can endure the whole season. He's a very good athlete, Callum Britton, but I think he probably needs some help at right back. Obviously, there's Luke Ayling there, but it's a very physically demanding role. You think about the amount of ground that Callum Britton covers, getting up and down the wing, but also moving inside as well. It's a pretty physical one. Can Luke Ayling do that? Potentially, but I wouldn't want to see him do it for like consecutive games, for like a run of games. So I think we need better depth at full back. I know there's Josh Didi there. He was part of the like training group, like the warm-up group yesterday. He wasn't a part of the squad, but he was there. Had a long injury layoff last season. Know pretty much nothing about him, but he could be an option. Interesting that Kim Hellberg came out and said that he's wanting a striker, and that means that there's a question mark over David Strelic. He's been linked with Getafe. Does that mean that he's on his way out? It would maybe indicate that, but yeah, I don't think that we have enough after that. I think we need a couple of fullbacks. Yeah, a couple of fullbacks for me after centre mid and right winger.
I was going to follow that up with exactly that point, D. I'm a little bit not concerned, but intrigued by what's happening with David Strelec. There seems to be a little bit of noise around that one, and I feel like there's no smoke without fire when it comes to that sort of thing. Paired with Hellberg wanting another forward as well. I do wonder if Middlesbrough, if they can get the money back that they paid for David Strelec, would willingly make that move and then look to upgrade, or just replace him with a player that is maybe better suited. I mean, I just don't think we quite know where David Strelec fits into Kim Hellberg's system. Edwards brought him in, played him deeper. Then he was moved to a 9. Hellberg thinks he's a 9. I'm not too sure. But then obviously if Lankshear does get injured, which God forbid, I hope never happens, yeah, there's not there's not another out-and-out 9 in behind him, I don't think. I think Conway's more of a wide forward. I think Strelets would be better deeper. Joseph's probably a wide forward as well. So, yeah, I can see the logic in probably wanting another forward there, even with or without Strelets, to be honest. But if he is going to move on, then, yeah, I would agree. And, yeah, I agree on the sentiment with full-back as well. I think an injury to Callum Britton would be absolutely terrible for us, really. I think on the left we can maybe get away with Borges managing that with Max Arvston, but yeah, I think I just don't feel comfortable taking the risk and hoping Callum Britton can just keep running up and down like he does for 90 minutes every single game for 46 games. It's such a tough ask on him. So I would still like a couple of additions there. But I do think Boro will be, as we always are, I think we'll be alive to any opportunities that come up late on in the window. We saw that with Ben Doak a few seasons back. I think Boro will have their eye on a few possible loans from the Premier League, and then, if they become available, we'll jump on it, and we might be treated to a few really nice late surprises in the window. We'll see.
I wonder, by the way, on the right back thing, if we're maybe looking at it the same as what we've done for the last couple of seasons, where we've got players who can play multiple positions. Given how 2-footed he is and the fact that he's played on the right wing, maybe they might be looking at, if Britton got injured, we could do with Borges at left back and Arvston at right back. Because I think he probably could go over and cover there.
Yeah, I agree with that point, Tom, as well. I was saying to you, Matt, yesterday, I just love how 2-footed Arvston is. You couldn't tell if he's actually more left dominant or right dominant, and I think that's such a nice skill to have, because I think it's just it gives you options on in game, and you can go centrally, or you can also play out wide as well and knock a ball into the box. And yeah, I kind of agree with you guys. I think there's still pretty more business that we need to do, but on David Strelec as well, he's a weird one really, because I think he's a good centre forward. I just don't think it's the right fit. And I know people will go, oh, well, he's rubbish and he can't do that. Honestly, David Strelec is a really good centre forward. And I wouldn't be shocked if he went somewhere and scored 20 goals a season. And and he just elevated his career and then made a big move somewhere. It just wouldn't shock me one bit. But would I keep him around? Yeah, I think if we can keep him, and he somehow keeps adapting even more, because he's only really been here for a year. Yeah, why not? I think you've got a good striker there to hopefully hang your hat on if we need to.
Yeah, you guys surprised that we've maybe not went back in for Alan Brown or a player like that? Because I feel like Alan Brown would have fit perfectly into maybe what we need, that sort of utility player. We need cover in centre mid. We need cover at right back. He did exactly that role last season. I probably wouldn't want to rely on him as much as what we did, especially towards the end of last season, because I thought his form dropped off quite badly. But he picked up a number of really good goal contributions for us, assisting from right back and scoring from midfield as well. I don't know what you guys think around that. I'm a bit surprised we've maybe not gone back in for him. I know I don't know if wages are an issue or whatever. There might be more reasons for it, but I feel like that sort of a player, once again, would fit perfectly into what we need and would fill in that sort of utility role. I don't think the drop off from Britton to Brown at right back was that bad last season. So whether it's Brown or another player, I'd probably like somebody like that.
I'm thinking about he's not American enough for me. I think we just need to find our next centre mid from America again. But I can see the case to get Brown back, but then is there maybe a better sort of profile that might fit Hellberg's team than Alan Brown? See, Brown was brought in at the start of last season when Snake Edwards was still here, so maybe maybe there might be a different player out there who Hellberg would prefer.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you, Tom. We just need to go back into the MLS and just try and find someone. And I agree with the statement around trying to find the right profile. I think with Boro, you still have Kante here. You've still got Lon McCabe that you probably need to move on as well, and on loan or whatever you want to do with Lon McCabe this year, because I can't see him getting into the team. And I think he has to be a bit selfish there with his own career. And if there's a move available to him, I think he makes it. And yeah, you're bringing in someone who will most likely be third or fourth choice. And who is it going to appeal to? Is it going to be someone who is happy to learn as the season goes on? Or is it someone who's a profile is maybe about 31, 32 and is quite happy to be that role? I think it's a really niche position that Boro are in, but competition for places though, isn't it? Some of the best players need competition to get the best out of them. But let's move on to the next question. It's from Soccer Dog, and it's a great question, actually. And they say, how about using Riley McGree as a specialist finisher to come on and make the difference against teams that are tiring about the hour mark? It makes sense and potentially keep him fit for more games throughout the season. I really like the starters and finishers concept, which Serena Weidman implements quite a lot for the England England women's teams, and it worked really, really well for them in cup competitions. Who would like to answer this one? Dynamo, would you like to take this one? I know you are a Riley McGree fangirl, so would you like to see him as a finisher?
Yeah, I love Riley McGree. I don't know. I mean, I spoke on the season preview about it being a big season for Riley McGree because you've got Castledine there who could potentially offer pretty stern competition for him. Now, I will say again, Riley McGree is the better player, absolutely the better player. But his availability is a problem, isn't it? And I think if we could just magic up fitness for him throughout the majority of the season, it'd be fantastic. But a point that was made in our YouTube comments last week is, would you rather have 20 games of Riley McGree or no Riley McGree at all? And I think I'd rather have the 20 games of Riley McGree because he's so impactful. I just don't know about him being a finisher because I think he is just so important to this side. And I think he's so influential. I'd rather see him start, I think. But I take the point about potentially keeping him fit. But to be fair, Riley McGree could come on off the bench and still get injured. So it doesn't take that out of the realm of possibility. So yeah, I think I'd have him as a starter rather than a finisher. And to be fair, Castledine is more of a finisher, in terms of a goal scorer finisher, than he is creative, I would say. So if you're looking for a goal, Castledine could come on in theory, maybe just, I don't know, be in better positions. And I think is a better finisher than Riley McGree. It probably has a little bit more conviction and composure than Riley McGree. So maybe Castledine is the better finisher, actually.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And then just one final point on Riley McGree until Tom, I'm going to come to you with a belter of a question. I still think Riley McGree is the best player at the club, and yesterday proved it even more of how influential he is. I just think he is wonderful. Right, Tom, the mic is yours. We have got a question. It's a ref watch. And
oh God,
how bad? Boy Madley referee yesterday. How bad was Madley was the question. So I mean, it's up to you to make your own conclusion there.
I thought it was shite, to be honest.
So you really think so?
I went on a Lincoln City message board this morning, and they had a thread about him, and they were all saying, "Oh, he got bias towards Boro in the second half, losers marks for being a homer." I was like, it's weird, and I think it shows how bad the referee's performance was when both sets of fans are going away thinking they were biased against them, and he was getting so many decisions wrong. Because there were a lot of times yesterday when I thought, Lankshear was close to having crimes committed on him, and nothing was happening. But then, Lankshear would breathe near one of their defenders, they'd go down, and there's a foul against Lankshear. I thought he was really, really inconsistent in applying these new rules in terms of counting down, because in the first half he was probably given their long throw guy a couple of seconds to pick the ball up, and then he'd start counting. Second half, I don't know if he just thought it was to make it more entertaining or what. He was just like, we'll give him 5 seconds of holding the ball first, just to get it lined up, and then I'll start counting down. Realistically, they should have had a fair few throw-ins overturned in the second half because of the amount of time they'd held onto the ball, but he just wasn't interested. I thought he was pretty terrible, to be honest. And like I said earlier, I think Lincoln fans thought he was terrible for different reasons. But yeah, I think that says it all when both sets of fans are like, "Well, you were biased against us."
Say what you really think. But I agree.
First one of the season.
Yeah, first one of the season, and won't be the last either. Like,
No.
but yeah,
Same again
hope
next
it's
week,
the
Tom.
last. I hope
It
it's the
won't be.
last. I can't be bothered doing that again. But yeah, refs in
But,
this league, aren't there? So
You wait till
Yeah,
we get
but-
Gavin Ward.
he's going to work in the dark again. He's going to work in the dark again. But yeah, like the inconsistencies, I think it just adds more frustration to the crowd, because then the crowd are like, well, I don't understand what the rules are anymore. And I totally get it. I totally get it. Because if the referee can't implement them correctly, then God help anyone else.
You don't like that
So-
10-second one for a sub, do you, Johnny?
No, I hate it.
The one
I
that
absolutely hate it.
Lankshire got basically, poor thing Cartwright just waiting there like a sim without any action in their fucking tray. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, I just think it's but yeah, I just hate it. I just don't think it's. I quite like the shithousery of a slow substitution, like especially exactly. Shithouse Island shirts are no longer available. But the
R.I.P.
yeah, I just rest in peace shirts. But yeah, I just think you're getting beat 1-0 or something, or you're winning 1-0, and you see your centre forward takes his shin pads off and just walks and he starts clapping the fans. It's just like, and everyone starts like getting rowdy. I just love it. You can't kill that. You can't kill those moments.
They have.
They'll have, yeah, and then just making someone wait. Like, poor thing, Cartwright didn't know he was coming on going, bless him, did he? So he's going to be haunted like that for life. It's going to be a quiz question one day, isn't it? So poor thing, Cartwright. Anyway, right, let's look ahead to Blackburn now. And a great start for Blackburn. I've never seen Middlesbrough win at Blackburn ever. I've never seen us score a goal, and when I did see us score a goal, I actually went for a burger, came back, and Adam Forshaw hit it in the back of the net, but the ball was already in the net, so I missed that too. And you'll be pleased to know, listeners, that I am not going on Saturday. However, the other three on this call are. So, guys.
Wait, Tom, are you?
You're all going.
I am.
Oh, I didn't even realise.
So you three are going without even knowing, and I've decided not to bother because I don't want to curse us anymore. So we'll do some predictions. There will be an opposition show later on in the week, but Matt, I'll come to you. What is your score prediction against Tony Mowbray's Blackburn Rovers?
Well, that's one of the first red flags, is that it's a Tony Mowbray side, because he always, I don't even know if it's a myth at this point, but he just always seems to, his teams always seem to perform well against Boro. And last season, despite Blackburn being hopeless for large parts, they were all right away from home against top end sides, I would say, but we struggled in two pretty drab 0-0 draws against them. So I am a little bit wary of this one. And to be fair, I was quite impressed by how good they were at Molineux, although I do think Wolves were particularly rubbish on the night as well. But I think once again, Boro's quality will pull through. And I'm going to go for another 1-0 win. I think Boro will win 1-0. And you know what? It'll be Lankshear again, because he's en route to scoring 135 goals this season, and he'll get another one at Blackburn.
God, I hope we're not paying him by goal, Matt. Jesus Christ, we'll be bankrupt. Especially with all the money we spent this year. Dana Maltz, are you going to go? What's going to be your
descend
prediction?
into darkness because
Yeah,
my
I was gonna
camera
say,
settings have. It's the natural light coming from my room.
It's a solar eclipse in Lazenby.
I know there is. there always is. Let me try and fix that. Nope, that's not good.
Well, to be fair, the
that's not good.
colour red that you're wearing right now, it really does look like you've just bought the home shirt. And I thought, at first I was like, oh my God, she's finally caved and bought that wonderful red shirt. It's just so
you're
red
baiting me now.
and wonderful.
No, terrible. Anyway, that's a bit
Isn't
better, isn't it? Audio listeners have no clue what's going on right now. I looked through the kind of head-to-head between Boro and Blackburn, and it's not good, to be fair. There's a lot of just really fine margin games. So going back to 2012, there's only been one game that's had 2 goals in it, and that was the Tommy Conway Sam Illing Jr. game of the 4th of April 2025, where we beat them 2-0. Everything else is kind of 0-0, 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 0-0, 1-1. Like, there's a load of them. So I'm going to go with history, and I think Boro will win against Blackburn. It'll be 2-1.
Okay, 2-1. And for you, Tom, what are you going to go for?
I feel like I've been to Blackburn quite a few times now, and I've only seen us win once, and it was that Friday night game where Carriol and Jukovic had the games of their lives and won us it. So I'm going to go 0-0 and blame myself for getting a ticket. But then I can't be disappointed if it happens. That's what will be. But anything above that's a bonus for me.
Okay, then. And I'm going to say 3-0 Boro. There you go. I'm going to say 3-0 Boro. I'm feeling it. I think at first, when I was watching the Blackburn and Wolves game, I was like, well, I can see why they're so good out of possession, because Wolves are so bad in possession. And they just held the central part of the pitch, and then they just got them on the break constantly. And I didn't think they created too much, but I think they are quite dangerous. But I think with Boro being a really good ball retention team, I just think we'll get that first goal, and then we'll kick on from there. And hopefully, fingers crossed, come away with 3 points, and then we can talk about it next week, where I can get all your feedback on the day and how poor the concourse is at Blackburn. But guys, thank you very much for joining me. As always, to the listeners and the viewers, don't forget to subscribe to the Boro Breakdown podcast. Don't forget to like this video, and don't forget to share it as well. Help us get found, charted, and all that kind of fun stuff. But for right now, this has been the Boro Breakdown podcast, and that was a Boro Matchday Chatter in a pod.